Hello again, Karate 360 fans. My name is Kalan Anglos.
I'm Richard Mosdell.
And welcome again to Karate 360. This is episode 7, and we are here in beautiful Victoria, BC, ready to go. And what a big week for karate, the Karate World Championships being held right now in Linz, Austria.
And you know the way to the World Championships?
Pardon me?
Do you know the best way to get to the World Championships? You got to go to the BC Open first.
Ah, okay. What's the BC Open?
BC Open will be the British Columbia Open Karate Championships Saturday, December 10th at the Richmond Olympic Oval in Vancouver.
And it's probably not the best way for people that aren't in BC.
Anybody can come to it because you need the experience.
Oh, there we go.
That's right. So if you're in BC and you're an elite athlete, you have to go to it to get points so that you can get on the BC team and go to the nationals and try and get on the national team and try and go off to the next World Championships. And if you're from outside of BC or you're not even in Karate BC, you can come and get some fantastic experience because you always need experience to get yourself to the World Championships.
Yeah, and for the BC team athletes, this is their Grand Prix tournament, so the most points.
That's first major Grand Prix tournament.
Yeah.
So this is it. There was a minor Grand Prix tournament, provincials last May. This is the big first one. So this one and team selection. So if you're trying out for the BC team or you're not trying out for BC team or you're from out of province, you're out of the country, you're crossing an ocean, Karate BC, the BC Provincial Championships, the Open Championships are coming on.
So BC Open, then leading into the National Championships next year, and later next year, the big Canada Open.
Canada Open, Karate Championships, June 3rd and 4th. Hey, Kalan, want to hear about a new division?
Tell me about it.
This is great. They don't have it in the World Championships, though.
Mm.
Yes, but it's called the Flying Sidekick
The
division.
Flying Sidekick Division.
Yes. We used to have this at the Vancouver Karate Cup. It was obviously an event on the side for everybody, not in a ring.
Yes.
So you'd finish your kata, you'd finish your kumite, and then you think, okay, what else can I do here today? And we'd say, well, come over to the side of the gym and let's challenge your flying sidekick.
So is it how high you can kick? Is it how hard you can kick? What is it?
Okay, so you've got to clear a high jump bar.
Okay.
You have to kick a kicking blocker that someone's holding, and land on your feet without falling down, and obviously without hitting the bar. So you run, you jump, you clear the bar, you go sideways, hit the blocker, land on your feet. If all's good, you get to go to the next round, and then they raise the bar up, another centimeter.
They raise the bar. Now, is this any technical aspect to this, or just any way you can side kick?
Technically, you got to clear the bar.
Technically, that's the technical.
You got to clear the bar. Now, some people used to do flying front kick, but people would do a flying front kick, try and kick something that was hanging from the ceiling, and they'd fall back on their head.
Yeah.
Flying side kick is actually really safe because if you don't make it, you just hit the bar and you knock it down, and you're landing on mats. No, it was actually quite amazing. I remember seeing this guy who was like 52 years old, and he cleared like 170 centimeters.
Wow.
It was like 5'6" or whatever.
Wow.
Just cleared it. So yeah, we just line them up in age order, boys and girls together in age order, and they go. And it's so much fun because it's so athletic. Yeah. So we're thinking about having that on the sidelines happening at the Canada Open. So another part of this great event that's coming June 3rd and 4th.
So you could be the Flying Sidekick Canadian Open champion.
That's right.
Of the world.
Hey, you got to have fun. Get out there and do some really serious kata, serious kumite, and finish it off with some fun and have some laughs with the people that were just in your division. Make some friends. That's what it's all about.
Love it. There it is. Canada Open next June. Keep an eye on our website and karatebc.org for more information on that.
Karate 360, let's start the show. You're going to kick high and I'm going to sweep low. From local to global, the thing that we love. It's Karate San Okumaru. All right, episode 7.
Underway. Here we go. This is a big week. Obviously, the Karate World Championships are underway right now in Linz, Austria. But lots of stuff going on here locally in Victoria as well. What was for you for this week?
Well, I've been out of Victoria.
That's true. You went up to northern BC to do some karate seminars up there.
That's right. So I've been... I was in Prince George. So big shout out to Ken Corrigan and his Nechako Karate Club.
Yeah.
And to Warren and Chantel and Curtis and Keith and everybody in the dojo up there. They were just fantastic.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. And they had me up for 2 days and a whole bunch of clubs came and participated. We did both days were the same. Kids sports karate, Then we did tournament karate, like tournament kata in the morning, and then we did kumite training in the afternoon.
Great. Now, most of these athletes that you trained, the adults, I think, are going for the BC team, or there's just a few?
One is going for the BC team, 2 are going for the BC team. Everybody else is just getting at some different stages of learning how to compete.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. So Nechako is a really interesting name because it is the name of it's the First Nations name of the river that goes by through Prince George.
Right.
And it was the meeting point where they used to have like native potlucks and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the building is amazing because it was a fire hall, and then Ken Sensei many years ago, I think he got it as a condemned building or something like that.
Okay,
and then he paid a ton of money to get it refurbished. And one thing he did is he had this really long steel beam they had to put up in the ceiling because the floors were sagging. So they had to cut a hole in the side of the walls. They had to run this beam through the side. They had to attach it to the roof and attach it to the supporting walls on the outside so it would support the floor. And
sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of work. And at one point it kind of bounced. And if it had bounced and just fallen right through, he's like, I'm just going to get my car. I'm just going home. The club's closed.
Turn your back and just walk away.
Yeah, but it didn't. And they've got a really great space up there. Yeah, so that it was neat to get out and see the world a little bit.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days before that, I was over at Hollyburn Country Club at Peter Stoddart's karate dojo where we were doing black belt exam preparation.
Great.
He had a lot of brown belts.
Oh, yeah.
So, they're getting ready to go for their first 3 black belt tests. So.
Great. Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. Good. So that was fun to see everybody out there. One awesome thing is they have up at Nechako in Prince George, Warren runs multi-club sports karate workout on Friday nights.
Okay.
And it's called mob training.
Mob training.
Mob.
Is that like an acronym?
No. His older brother came up with it years and years ago. And what do you call a group of kangaroo?
A mob?
A mob.
That was a guess, but there it is.
So kangaroos in Australia are called roos.
Okay.
So a group of roo. A group of styles.
Yeah.
A group of roo, different styles.
That's quite clever, actually.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to steal that. And he's like, no, you're not.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about something similar we can do in our club because I love the idea of clubs coming in and working out together.
Yeah,
because it's not the idea of stealing other people's members. The idea of people who are like-minded getting together and training.
Yeah.
So they've been doing mob training, and it sounds like they're having a blast.
Flock training.
Flock. Well, I've been thinking about pod.
Pod training. Oh,
pod training for whales.
I like that.
Right? Do you know what you call a group of owls when they get together?
Ooh.
Yes. A parliament.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but here being on the West Coast, like, hey, we can have pod training. Like a bunch of strong killer whale people. Like, it'll come.
Yeah, it'll come. We'll find something.
We'll find something. And you? What's your week been like?
Another busy week. I mean, of course, we had the Camosun karate, well, not the karate kids, but the Camosun college kids come in, doing their 3rd week of karate training with us here at Kenzen. And that, again, went really well. They had their first kind of introduction to team kata. And so now they're doing Pina Nidan in a group. So that was a lot of fun. So that was kind of my week so far in the karate world. Outside of the karate world, in my strength and conditioning world, I just took on a amateur boxer and training him, as you know, and really excited. He's super excited. He's now entered a 5-week training camp, and last week we talked a little about periodization, and we got to put together a periodization plan for him. And his fight is December 2nd, and so he came to me and he said, hey, look, I want to get going, and this guy's calling me out, and I want to be able to it's an MMA match, so it's actually it's a boxer and a kickboxer, and he's also a grappler, so just training him, and that's been a lot of fun. So taking up a little bit of time too, though, is, like I said, getting together that periodization plan, the training plan, and then running him through a few trainings this week.
Can we give him a shout out?
Yeah, for sure. John Cutts, he's out there, and John Cutts. Yeah, that's a name. That's a name right there. And he's feeling confident. Great guy. He's 22 years old. He's had 4 amateur boxing fights already, and this is kind of the biggest one. It's headlining one of the Silver Gloves tournament fights. So yeah, just really excited to.
So it's not boxing, it's MMA.
It's actually MMA. Yeah,
Okay.
the production and the organizers and the promoters are boxing promoters, but they also put on other amateur sports. And yeah, this is an MMA fight. In the silver gloves and these gold gloves ones, you can have boxing matches, jiu-jitsu matches, MMA matches, all different varieties. So they're doing an MMA match. So
where's the location?
it's here in Victoria, and actually the guy that he's fighting, they've kind of got a little bit of a beef, so to speak. So it's kind of got some hype around it, I guess, in the amateur boxing world. So it should be good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're training him, are you saying you're doing his fitness and conditioning training? Or?
Fitness and conditioning, and we're also working on striking. He's also been working on a lot of his takedowns as well. That's kind of his specialty, is takedowns and a lot of groundwork. So yeah, working different things each day. You know, one day we'll work on his ground conditioning or his stand-up striking. Sometimes we'll work on his power development, his speed development, that kind of thing. So yeah, just kind of working all that kind of stuff into his periodization plan. And he came to me, I think, a little bit too not, I shouldn't say too late, but usually you want to plan at least 8 weeks before an MMA fight or a boxing fight. So we're now in kind of like a 5-week training camp, which runs it a little bit short, but that's okay. We'll make it work.
Does he have a main club that he works out in?
He works out at, I believe it's called Victoria Boxing Club downtown. And yeah, and he just came to me for training. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. It's been a lot of fun working with him. And of course, somebody like that who's got a fight coming up and is a competitor, they're hungry, right? So they train hard. And that's the other thing, is you want to try and make sure he doesn't train too hard as well, and trying to know those boundaries. So lots of fun there. And that's what I love to do. So
that's awesome.
Ki out. We're going to give a shout out to Rodney out in Kelowna.
Yes, he's started Next Gen Karate interview online videos.
Yeah, if you guys have probably already seen it. If not, check it out. Next Gen Karate interviews.
The concept is he's helping introduce the next generation.
Yes.
Of karate individuals.
Yes.
You know, karate people who are coming up.
Yes. Now, the first person that was on his show that he first interviewed is sitting right across from me.
Ah, yes.
And then he also interviewed former national team member Chris DeSouza Costa from Team Canada, and who's now a retired competitor, and also the Team BC coach Mike Ditson. So check those out. Those are on YouTube. I believe they have a Twitter page as well. So Next Gen Karate and Rodney up there in Kelowna. Great job, Rodney. Keep it up.
Lauren.
Yeah,
Lauren and Rod. I think this is a really interesting concept, because
totally, yeah.
I still think of myself as young. Maybe nobody else does. Because maybe in Japan they say, if you're 65 and under, you're young.
Yeah.
Right? But the idea of how we can share more easily now with the way we have technology about what you can do and how you can train and how you can prepare to go forward.
Yeah. And I think it's great that all this stuff is now coming up for karate, because it's just going to bring more eyes to the world of karate and more people getting familiar with the other people in karate. It's great. Yeah.
Our country's so big, the karate population is small.
Yeah.
Now, when we say small, I remember when I started being a full-time karate instructor in the 90s, and I went through a college entrepreneur course, and I had to do, write a business plan. And I found a stat in the Stats Canada long form survey where they had done with listing all the sports that were in Canada. Okay. And they had separated karate from martial arts. Like there was soccer, baseball, hockey, and there was karate, and then there was martial arts.
What year was this?
Oh, this is like 2000 or 2002.
Okay.
And a number that sticks in my head was like either 108,000 or 120,000 people had said that they had done or are doing karate in Canada, which I thought was a pretty big number. And it related to about 18th most popular sport.
Okay. Do you remember how the other martial arts kind of stacked up?
Well, the other martial arts were just all under martial arts.
Oh,
karate was the only one that was separated.
Wow, that's interesting.
Now, actually, it was funny because Craig's at the World Championships right now, and
that's right.
He had texted me asking me if I could remember exactly what that article or where that survey was.
Okay.
And it's on my old laptop that the hard drive died. So. Yeah, but I thought that was a lot. So that was a lot of people. So with Next Gen Karate, you've got all these people in the country from different angles.
Yeah.
And I know in Rod's show, he's really focusing on who's involved in in the sport karate world at the provincial level
Yes.
and at the national level right now. And
Yeah.
that's great. I look forward to seeing the other people that they get in. Because he also represents SMAI karate uniforms for North America.
Right.
So a lot of people he's going to be meeting that we don't normally get to talk to.
Yes. Yeah. No, it'll be great. And we talked a little bit, you just touched on Craig, Coach Craig Devlin being over at the World Championships. Hopefully maybe next week or the week after we can actually get Craig on here and talk a little bit about his experience over there.
Yeah, because he's doing a study project looking at hundreds and hundreds of matches.
Yeah. So it'd be great to just hear some input on what he saw and what he thought.
So key eye outs, Lauren and Rodney over at Next Gen Karate. Keep it up. We can't wait to hear all the different interviews you guys do.
Yeah, great job, guys. Keep going. And now, Karate Global News. Well, obviously, this week being the start of the Karate World Championships in Linz, Austria. Now, this particular podcast that you're listening to now comes out Monday morning. We are a few days before that, so the World Championships haven't wrapped up quite yet, but we have got some highlights from them, and I know we watched a couple of videos before.
Exactly. So we will talk in our next episode about the results and dig into some more of the juicy details.
Yeah.
I am one of those people that love the second and third round at a World Championships because that's when, half the field is gone and people are really fighting for their spot.
Yeah.
We actually watched a few finals of other championships before this, and there's only 2 or 3 techniques thrown in actual finals.
Yes. I think I was telling you before, I was looking for a video to show the Camosun College kids because I wanted to show them a good match of karate kumite so they can actually get the feel of what it looks like. And I was trying to find one with a lot of action. But on the WKF YouTube page, they usually post just the finals or the semifinals. And as we know, there's, 1-0 matches, 2-1 matches, that kind of thing. So it took me a little while, but I did find some good team kumite matches.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about what we know right now. First, before we talk about the matches, President Antonio Espinosa has been reelected.
Yes, that was just announced. Yeah.
So another 6 years.
6 years. Yeah. So that takes him to from now till 2022.
Mm-hmm. Now he was either 1999 or 1998 that he was elected.
That's incredible.
For Jack Delcourt stepped down and he was elected. And this is an amazing amount of time when you think about President Espinosa because he really made it he made karate more popular.
Sure.
He brought more countries in. He oversaw the change, going to red and blue gloves because that came in just after 1999 into 2000.
Yeah.
So having a red and blue side. He also went through the 2005, 2009, 2012 IOC rejection. He helped get the IOC recognition again for WKF as an international sport federation for karate in 1999.
Probably started the whole K is the way campaign.
Yeah, that started that. Saw the 3 rejections. And then now that he's seen karate get into the Olympics in 2000, he was unopposed for running for president. So it was acclamation.
Yeah.
So now he'll be the president when karate's in 2000, but also next year, June 2017, when the IOC meets to talk about which sports are in for 2024.
Yes.
Then he's going to be the president overseeing that process. If karate gets chosen as a regular sport in June 2017 to be on the regular schedule, the summer Olympic schedule from 2024, then he'll have fulfilled his mandate, really.
Yeah.
He'll retire.
What more could he do, really?
I mean, he could stay obviously up past 2022, but he's locked karate in at that point, hopefully.
Yeah, totally. So did you ever meet him?
I have met him. Actually, I interviewed him too once. I've actually interviewed him twice. First was in 1999 when I was making a martial arts documentary called The Martial Athlete.
Okay.
And it was a time in the 90s where people didn't think of people competing in karate as athletes.
Right. Yeah.
So I called it The Martial Athlete. And then, so interviewed him on camera and then interviewed him again in 2010 by email. And so when I was writing for the JK Fan magazine in Japan, and I was writing a bilingual column.
Okay.
I was interviewing famous people around the world, and he may have been my first person I interviewed. And at that point, again, he talked about the main goal for him, for his mandate, was to get karate in the Olympics and then expand. And there's probably so many things that he does at his level, in terms of how do you improve the medical side, how do you improve the promotion, publicity, live streaming, broadcasting. There's probably so many areas, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff happening in the back rooms for how they wheel and deal stuff. But it's great for us that other combat sports at the world level have struggled, where this one hasn't struggled in that way. So it looks good. So we did watch 3 videos of people in their semifinal matches.
Yes, we did. Yeah, watched 2 kata performances, and then we watched the infamous eye poke of the 2016 World Championships.
He broke his eyeball.
He broke his eyeball. I laughed so hard when I saw that headline.
Rafael Agiev has broken his eyeball at the World Championships. I was like, really?
Yeah. How do you break an eyeball?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the match.
Let's talk about the match first. So first of all, it was Agiev. I think it was one of his first matches in there, and he was fighting the athlete from Iran.
Yeah, Ajibardi. I'm going to say this wrong, so I apologize. Askarov?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And then one of the first rounds, and so let's hear your initial thoughts. What do you think of the eye poke, first of all?
Well, that was an accident.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That was their gripping gloves, gripping jackets, rotating in a clockwise manner, and he leaning forward, and he got poked in the eye. And I've watched lots of Agiev fights now, and he's actually this is just an accident.
Yeah, of course.
But I have watched a lot of his matches where he really commits to, when he decides he's going to get a technique, and he really commits to it, and he gets knocked in the head and gets knocked down.
Yeah.
But what I noticed about this match, and when we talk about the 2 athletes, Agiev's plan was to get a bunch of points and then just jam up the other fighter and just defend.
Yeah.
Just defend to the end. He got his first point hitting pretty hard to the head.
Yeah.
And the Iranian fighter, twice he decided that, okay, I'm out, and just dropped to the ground. So Agiev got the point on the first time, but he didn't get it on the second time. He got a penalty. Then he scored again with a head punch.
Yeah.
But then he just jammed. Just his ability just to run the clock down.
Yeah. I think his ability just to close that distance too is just unbelievable. Like
when he explodes to go forward.
Yeah, when he wants to go, he goes, and he can score a point, or he can tie you up and stop you from scoring a point. And that's what I think is super impressive. And
I think it's interesting that he spent most of that match not actually trying to score after he was 2 ahead.
Yeah.
He was just defending what he had. And
trying not to get scored on.
Trying not to get scored on.
And succeeding.
Yeah, exactly. And use the rules. He's at the last 6 seconds, he stepped off, so he went straight to Hansoku Chui.
Yes.
So then he made sure he didn't run away at the end.
Yes.
I think both coaches used the video card.
Yes, they did. Yeah, both coaches used the video.
Both lost it.
Both lost. You see the big card that comes up? No.
The referee said no at the video counter.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of, I don't know if you call it controversy, but obviously there were some fans in the audience from the video that you can see that were booing. It looked like maybe a couple head kicks there from the Iranian athlete that came close, but you had other thoughts as an official.
Well, they were standing still, and Ashabardi tried to do a scorpion kick.
Yes.
And then
I think that was the one that most people thought maybe scored.
And then you saw that
he did get a flag.
He got one flag in the corner, and they were both looking at all the flags.
Yes.
And then they walked back, and then there was some booing. And of course, probably his teammates are right near the edge.
Yeah.
So they're
the
cheering or booing.
Yeah.
It's not just random audience members. Asiabardi, he did not look upset. Like he knew the kick
wasn't very powerful.
It wasn't very powerful,
no.
Especially not at that level.
Yeah.
There was a few times that both of them scored with a chudam washi, a body kick, but it was like on the shin.
Yeah.
And at that level, the referees are really strict on scoring. Yeah, I just felt that the Iranian fighter, who was just a little bit too short, like Agiev was just hanging outside his range.
Yes.
Or he would just rush forward and jam him.
Yeah.
So now I heard after the famous eye poke, which is obviously a non-event now, that he went on to, Craig sent me a text that Agiev went on to fight 2 or 3 team fights.
Yes, yeah.
And now he's in the final for his weight division. So So then we watched 2 kata.
We did watch 2 kata. We watched one of the athletes that we've actually talked about earlier. I think it was last podcast or the one before. Kyo Shimizu.
Yes, this is the female Japanese kata athlete. And by the way, we will put these 3 videos up on our link.
Yes.
When we post. So you guys can watch with us and see what we're talking about. Because we're just picking some really nice highlights here. Kyo Shimizu.
Anan, yeah.
Yes.
Nice and powerful, very rooted. We were talking about, you said her technical ability was just about on point. It was amazing, actually.
I think her technical ability is really sharp. Yeah. She has a few little more flares, like stomping the back foot as she's moving forward.
Yeah, we noticed that, yeah.
She's doing her sliding teishuki, her sliding strikes. But she's so athletic.
Yes.
Like you can even see, like even in that massive gi you could fit 3 other people in.
Yeah.
You could see her breathing hard.
And she's not very big, but she can generate some power.
She can generate power. Her whole, it's when you see someone perform kata really well, like even, the muscle sinews just above the ankle are so like locked.
Yeah.
The ability to, it's interesting, like the ability to take the gi and mold and shape it however you want.
Yes.
And I remember at the course last weekend up in Prince George, I was telling everybody that in Japanese martial arts, it's not so much moving your muscles as it is aligning your skeleton.
Yes. Yeah.
Like good posture. You're snapping your body out at a certain speed, but the commitment of your body with the way your skeleton is aligned, driven by your muscles, generating inertia, gives you really good power, and she can do it. No, I just said momentum, not inertia.
Yeah. I was just about to correct you too. That's okay. You use inertia all the time, but
that's right. Actually, I used inertia because you said inertia once, so I switched to it.
That's right. Do you actually know what the definition of inertia is, though?
Go ahead and tell me.
So inertia it's one of Newton's laws. I think it's the first or second one. I should know this. I can't remember exactly. But it's the tendency for an object to either stay in motion or stay not in motion.
Not in motion.
So
moment and versus momentum.
Momentum is once you are in motion. And kind of going. So inertia, technically what the example they give is somebody with inertia, if there was no gravity in the world or nothing holding you back, you would just slide along forever because you would just keep going. So you have inertia to keep in motion, and there's, well, in our case, gravity or a wall or something to stop you.
So she's good at gathering momentum?
She's good at gathering momentum, yes. And obviously aligning her skeleton and having good kime, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful kata.
Yeah, it was very good.
I love it when it looks so athletic.
Yes.
And
the intensity that she brings too, I find it's just great. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we looked at the other video.
Super MP.
Yeah.
We watched a male kata. Kiyuna, who is another athlete that we've also talked about from the Japanese national team. And again, a great kata, and he's going to the finals too, I believe.
Depths.
Yeah.
Complete body movement.
Yeah.
Super Renpei is a long kata.
It is a long kata, yes.
Yes. So in the rules, technical difficulty is high. It has a different timing than a nan, but you really have to be spot on in your rhythm through that kata.
Yeah.
It has to be, because it's slow and fast.
I say yes, but I have never done Super Renpei.
Yeah. 108 moves, is it?
Yeah, that's right. I remember that was it.
I mean, from the video we watched, which is a little bit away from the court,
mm-hmm.
I mean, he has really good, his back is straight, his center is straight. He has these little arms that just zip out.
Yes.
Right? He's able to, I'm not sure what it is with Super Renpei, but it's like presenting a typhoon, which is getting stronger and stronger, and there's a turning and the stronger and the intensity and wham at the end.
Yeah.
Do they do the finger flick at the end or not? So there's something about how you can wind up the referees and the audience as the kata is getting stronger, and if you're able to do that with a very good rhythm, where the rhythm's not spotty, and you can look strong but relaxed. Mm-hmm. And he zips into the last kata. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the final. I know sometimes they say, well, you've got the Japanese flag on your chest. You're getting a few little extra points. But now you really have to work for it.
Yeah.
You really have to work for it. So it'll be exciting to see how the final goes through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about it in the next podcast.
Yeah, next podcast we'll talk all about that, plus all the other results from the Karate World Championships in Linz, Austria. So tune in next week to find out all that. But that's our karate global news for this week.
Kalan, I want to talk about Dojo Seikatsu.
Dojo Seikatsu. What is that?
Life in the dojo.
Ah, okay, I like it.
So
What is life in the dojo?
life is related to what it's actually like to be a karate member in a karate club. The Dojo Kun.
Dojo Kun.
Some dojos have the Dojo Kun. There's a famous one in Shotokan, but I know you know one from your old karate style.
Yes, so I originally came from Shida-ryu, and we had a Dojo Kun that we would recite. We didn't do it every single beginning of every single class, but if we ever had a workshop or we got a bunch of clubs together, we would always do the Dojo Kun.
Can you recite it?
I think I can recite it. I think I can remember. I think it was hammered home pretty good. Let me see if I can do this, and I'll probably screw some of it up, but let's see. So it's Dojo Kun. Shitotsu, Regio, Tadashiku, Serkoto. Shitotsu, Shitoni, Muwaku, Kakane Koto. Shitotsu, Atagani, Neoko, Serkoto. Shitotsu, Sensei, Senpanyo, Oshuranoko, Morocco. I might have got that one wrong. And the last one was Shitotsu, Renshiwa, Manichi, Serkoto. And then we did it in English, which was Dojo Kun, be moderate and courteous, be righteous and have a strong sense of justice, be modest in your words and actions, respect others. Karate Do is a lifetime study. Boom. There it is.
Very good.
I haven't done that for years.
Very good.
Yeah, and I think I was telling you before, one time I was asked to recite that because I was black belt at the time and was at the front of the line of a workshop with our master, Sensei Sato, and Dojo Kun, and I completely screwed it up. And the guy mixed up the order, didn't even pronounce any of it wrong. And I was probably nervous. I think I was pretty young at the time. But yeah, that was our
Your
Dojo.
master must respect you.
Yeah. Yeah. My sensei, I can't believe you screwed that up. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, we, like I said, we didn't do that every time, but and I think when I was, coming up in Shida-ryu, that we were told that was just kind of like the start of a karate class. So you start this so you know what you're kind of getting into, and after that it's all business, and so to speak, it's karate. Yeah, so that was just something that we always did, but I know it's something that we don't do here at Kenzan.
Yeah, it's a dojo specific thing.
Yes, yeah.
When you started the beginning of yours, you said shitotsu. Yep. In Japanese, it's hitotsu.
Okay, maybe it wasn't. I just didn't know that.
Yeah, that's okay. No. It's common, like, as you get farther and farther away from a language source, you lose the pronunciation.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
And I've heard that. I mean, the way I originally said Japanese karate words, I had to change after I learned how to say them properly.
Yes, yeah.
And even now, my wife says I sound like an old Japanese guy who's a plumber, because my first homestay dad in Japan was a plumber. But hitotsu is like, it's almost out of legal language.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
Hitotsu means one. Like this, hitotsu, article 1. Hitotsu, article 1. Hitotsu, article 1.
Okay.
And it is a cult side of karate. And that can be the healthy side. Some people really like the Japanese culture flavor. Like, this is not a regular sport.
Yeah, and
So
I think that's probably what played a big role into that for sure.
Yeah, Arakawa Sensei, they actually have 2 in their club at Shiramizu Karate Club in Japan. They do one for kids that they say it's very light and like we should try really hard and we should laugh a lot and we should try our best. And then there's one for the adults, which is very similar. A lot of them share similarities. That we're going to learn a lot. Karate is a lifetime study.
Yes.
That sort of thing. Maida Sensei, my instructor, we don't do it there. He just wants to kick and punch and get going, get on with it.
Yeah.
And for sure, there's a place and a time for it. I know that Utsunomi Bunsei Girls High School, they have a Dojo Kun on the wall, and it was written about in a Japanese karate magazine. And it's either in the Dojo Kun, I think it is in the Dojo Kun. And this is a girls' high school, so it's a girls' karate club, all right? And in the Dojo Kun, it says, if you have your front teeth, you don't have the guts to commit to throwing a punch and taking a counter to the face.
That was one of the rules.
In a girls' high school.
Jeez.
That's how hard they trained. It was
Wow.
in their Dojo Kun. It was written on the wall.
Jeez, that's insane.
So they used to shave their head. It's a girls' school.
Wow.
Shave their head And if they could said, if you have teeth, it's not because you're good at blocking. It's because you're not good at diving in and getting your points. And they had girls come out of that club that became world champions. Yeah.
All had no teeth.
Oh yeah, like strong. They would live in a house together. So that was one of their Dojo Kun.
Wow.
They actually have this video on a VHS tape. I don't know if you know what that is, but a VHS tape.
A VHS tape. Wow, did they play those in VCRs?
Exactly. And it was a video of them training, and their instructor in his 50s, and he had them lined up against the dojo wall. He had a basketball, and he stood literally 5 meters from them and threw it at their head. And they had to dodge or block. It was a real basketball.
Well, if you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a punch.
Exactly, and they dodged it. They used to stand on...
and if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Oh.
Dodgeball?
Dodgeball. So back to Dojo Kun. So why I don't use it is, first I'm experimenting with how I want my club to go forward.
Sure.
We have a classical side of the karate club. We have a sports side of the karate club. We try and put them in parallel so they're not in conflict. And we have a fitness side. So what I found is what we've been doing is having the students, especially the younger students, make the rules of the club.
Yeah.
And then you talk to them about what the rules are. We write it out on a big poster on the wall, and then we try and live up to them. And then when they break them, because kids are bound to not be able to concentrate as long and stuff,
sure, yeah.
they have to go over to the board and tell us which rule they broke, or if they've been doing really, really well, which rule they were doing great on.
Sure, yeah.
So the ones that the kids came up with are as following: are trying to become a black belts. So if you're in the karate club, you're trying to become a black belt.
Sure, it makes sense. It's a lifetime study.
Lifetime study,
yeah.
Right? Know that sweating is good for them.
Yes, I like that one.
So I think that's good. Like, this goes with that. Like, don't just tell kids they're smart and they're good and they tried hard, because then they don't think they have to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm already smart. Why should I keep studying?
Yes.
Or I already tried hard. Why should I try it again? But if you tell them, like, did you sweat? Because what I found here, some kids aren't used to sweating.
Yeah.
They get, I'm sweating. I didn't realize I could, So, because you want to tell them we're trying to change your muscles to get stronger. Respect the dojo. And this is important.
Yeah, that's pretty standard one, I think, probably.
The moment they walk in the door, they're taking care of the club. The club is theirs, No karate starts when they walk through the door. So there we go. Listen to sensei and senpai. Be helpful. This one I use a lot. So I'll say, okay, let's clean this stuff up. And two kids will just sit on the floor. And this could be, when we're talking kids, someone who's talking teenagers, right? So be helpful. Because one that I like, they said, try to do great techniques. So not only they're trying to become black belts, but they're not trying to be lazy, become black belts. They're trying to do great techniques.
Yes.
Yeah. Be safe. Have fun. Know they are safe to make mistakes here in the dojo.
I like that one too.
This is one I kind of added recently, because sometimes you're doing stuff in the club and sometimes an instructor will just be yelling at you and telling you your stances are horrible and this is horrible and that's horrible.
Yes.
We have to tell them that this is a safe place for you to make mistakes.
Yes.
I remember when I went to film school, and then in the first day of the induction, when we all got accepted on the first day, and like the vice president of Vancouver Film School, she said, okay, now you're not only among peers and friends and professors who love what you love, but you are now safe to love what you love.
Yeah.
And you're now safe to make an error. You're now safe to make a mistake.
Yes. Yeah.
Here you can do that.
And I think it's especially important in karate because a lot of senseis or a lot of coaches or whoever, when they look at somebody's kata or they look at somebody's technique, you never really are looking for what they're doing right. You're usually looking for mistakes that they're doing so they can correct those mistakes. So usually the things that the kids are hearing are what to fix, not necessarily what they've already fixed or what they're already doing right. So just knowing that, those mistakes or those things you need to fix are good things. Like, it's good that you can recognize that you're going to have mistakes and you have to improve them. I think that's really important.
No, absolutely. So when we tell people, okay, we'll do group work where one person is doing a kata, the other person is watching. And I always say, you have to tell them two things. Two things to do well, two things that need to work on.
Yes.
And if you can't think of anything, just say, well, you're breathing and you're looking in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yep. And know that training, traveling, and competing with friends is awesome.
Yeah.
I added that one recently too.
Yeah. So these are ones that you and the kids came up with.
Yeah, these are ones that we use here in Kenzen. Definitely use it in the after school program that we run.
Yeah.
But we use it in the club. We got it on the wall, and when a kid breaks it, they gotta go over there, and they gotta read out the rules from top to bottom. Not with everybody doesn't have lifts, and somebody has to go over with an assistant instructor and go, okay, you broke the rules pretty badly. Let's go over here and figure out which one you broke.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's great is you can look at it and go, okay, everybody, which one did we do really well?
Yeah.
Like, we're sweating. It's awesome. We're trying to black belts. Yes, we just had a belt test, a color belt test, and I said, if you pass a yellow belt, that means, and then everyone goes, you can pass a black belt, right? Because that first test is the most difficult if you think about it.
Yeah.
So that's the Dojo Kun that we have right now. We just don't shout it out at the beginning of the class.
Sure.
But I like to experiment with stuff. Like, I can see having some, like, one of the shouts that we do is we do the group circle where I go Kenzen and they all itchy and they slam their foot on the floor.
Yeah.
That stuff is great because it just lifts up everybody up. We're going to do that tomorrow when we're at the Campbell River Challenge tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Question on that though. So in Japan, do they do the Dojo Kun usually before class?
Yes, they'll do it at the beginning of class.
Okay.
And some will do it at the end of class. But
now, what's the difference or the meaning of doing that or doing mokso?
Well, mokso just is like, just clear your mind.
Yes. Okay.
Right? So close your eyes, concentrate on your breathing.
Yeah.
Some people think you're supposed to concentrate on like your body, your mind is somewhere, you're outside your body, or like some people get really complicated, but mokso should really just be concentrate on your breathing, because what you need to do is calm your mind and forget about what everything was happening before and what's going to happen after. So that's mokso. Where Dojo Kun is like, why are we here?
Yes. Okay.
We are here to train really hard, to remember this is karate and this has a higher purpose than just soccer, because you don't do Dojo Kun in soccer.
Yeah. Because when we used to do it in my old club, we used to do mokso, and then as soon as mokso was done, it was right into the Dojo Kun.
That makes sense, because the idea is now I've stopped thinking about what I was doing before I got here.
Yeah.
And now I have to think about, why the heck am I here?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great.
There's the Nippon Budokan. They have which is a major Japanese martial arts hall in Tokyo. It's on the cover of my book, Sunny Leads.
I haven't heard that before.
They have a Nippon Budogakuen, which is a study of martial arts, and they have a whole list of the value of martial arts that they came up with years and years ago, and someone translated, and so you guys can look that up. If I can, I'll find the link for it. I have their book that was translated into English, and they have a kind of a Dojo Kun. It's like a kind of the purpose of us for doing martial arts, and a lot of people really like it because it's very Japanese, like old school. For me, it's a little esoteric.
Okay.
Just because I don't like anything that smells of a cult. I like let's just go in and train hard.
Sure.
Right on. So a little bit about Dojo Kun. I'd love to hear what other people use for Dojo Kun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear what you guys, even if it's not something written down or something you practice, what are your general rules of your dojo that you promote to your athletes? Let us know.
Technical tactical study of karate. That's the next segment. How to improve your kata for tournaments and for black belt tests, really. So this ties in great to what we've been talking about. Read the rules, study the rules, understand kata performance.
Yes. Yeah.
Understand the three parts: conformity, technical, and athletic. So not only do you have to conform to your style, but sometimes you have to make sure that the referees know what style you're conforming to.
Yes.
If you go out there and do a kata that is not really well known, you're kind of being esoteric now. Like you're too far away from the mainstream of everyone else is doing.
Right.
So if you want, because you can't walk up to the referees and give them a lineage chart of what you learned, where you learned it from, how you got it, where it's coming from. You have to. So when you announce it and show it, you have to be sort of in the main pool, of what you're doing. And then technical. How to improve. No, we're going to how to improve your kata for tournaments. When you write out the technical requirements, stance, techniques, transitional moves, timing, correct breathing, focus, which is kime, technical difficulty, And then you write on a whiteboard, athletic. So strength, speed, balance, rhythm. Now when you perform for yourself or with a partner or in your instructor, you can actually write out on the board what you're doing well and what you're not doing well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We did this the other night where we had some athletes who were training for the BC team and they were practicing a kata, and they actually went through each part to figure out. So obviously on some parts of the kata, they might be weaker on their stances because their legs aren't as strong, but on other parts, their transitions are fast. But we videotape the kata, we try and videotape it, right? And just watching it, we have to figure out where are they weak, where are they strong. What I have a question for you is, when you look at the athletic 4 categories, does it make sense from a kinesiologist point of view?
Yeah, I think in terms of the kata performance, I think it definitely makes sense. In terms of a kinesiology approach, I think for athletic, there's other things that we would consider. But for
what would you put in there? I'm curious.
If it was something that, if we're relating it to karate specifically, we would talk more about power than strength, but that's a minor technicality.
Okay, so explain power and what's the difference with strength?
Okay, so power and strength are 2 different things that are usually interchangeable, but there is actually definitions of each. Okay. Strength is more low speed. So strength we call low speed strength because, strength is when you're pushing you're bench pressing, 250 pounds or whatever as hard as you can. It's a slow movement you're just trying to overcome. That's strength. Power is what we call high speed strength, where, if you're doing the same move, you're doing it with less weight, but you're doing it as fast as you can. So when it comes to kata performance, usually you're not really overcoming gravity or overcoming any resistance very slowly. Usually you're exploding into the next thing. So whenever you think of explosiveness, that's technically power, not strength. So that's what we would have in there.
That's what I love about Kyuna Shimizu's kata. I love at the end, she's breathing really hard.
She is, for sure.
She's
those
breathing
fast twitch
really,
muscle fibers.
Yeah.
You can't keep that up. Yeah.
She's breathing really, really hard. Like, how many times do you see an athlete do a kata and at the end they're like, okay, I'm kind of tired, but not really?
Yeah.
She's breathing really, really hard.
Yeah, so there's that for sure. As one thing, maybe speed obviously makes sense. Balance, of course, you need, and rhythm. I think rhythm and timing can be the same thing in there. There's also agility, which we talk a lot about as well, that could fit into athletic as well. At the same time, that goes a little bit with balance and speed. It's kind of a collection of them all. Mm-hmm. But a kinesiologist's approach is a little bit different than a martial artist's approach.
Yes. So I think when someone's training their kata, because fouls are minor loss of balance, incorrect move, audible cues like hitting the body, right? Obviously, if you're calling stuff out when you're in a team kata, right? Obviously, if your belt is undone, if you're time wasting, I think you can look at your kata and go, all right, so which of these really do I need to work on? I like the idea of videotaping your kata and then taking a kata performance that you quite like and putting them side by side.
Yes.
And then you can start saying, okay, what am I doing wrong here?
Yeah, it's almost like doing a SWOT analysis of your own kata.
Yeah.
BC team athletes have to do SWOT analysis.
Yes.
It's a great thing for lots of athletes to do, looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Absolutely.
And
And we're going to talk about that in another podcast. I think I'm going to bring Craig in.
Yeah,
and
that's a good idea.
Let him talk about it because he took a course on it and he can, dilute it down to the essence.
Sure. Yeah.
So videotape yourself. Put it put up in a window side by side with a kata performance that you really like. Time it so you can play both at the same time and watch and see what it is.
Yeah.
I think for many people, they're not as vigorous as they could possibly go.
Sure.
As transition as powerfully as they should. I think the other thing too is people should look greased or rehearsed. Like they should be doing it so much over and over again and feel like, wow, I'm so tired over and over again. I remember with Arakawa Sensei, after the class, he would sit in the corner in a chair and some kids would be going for the tournament in a couple weekends and he'd have them doing over and over.
Yeah.
Like with Arakawa Sensei, class starts at 9, but maybe we get out at 10.
Yeah.
Like everyone goes home, but the people who are training for something special, maybe they'll leave at 10 o'clock and he'll just have them training over and over and over. You might do like another extra hour of sparring.
Yeah.
Or kata. And so that was just to get them to be loose and as greased and the muscles moving in the best way as possible. And I think that really shows up on your performance. My daughter has a really, really strong kata. She's really young. She's only 9. And her kata performance is actually, she can really, when she decides to put a lot of power into it, and in terms of high speed, she looks really good. But she looks cautious in her face. So she walks into the ring and she looks very cautious.
Yes.
And so I think that throws referees off.
Sure.
But then she does this really strong kata for her age.
Sure.
And
but maybe doesn't look as confident as the other athlete.
That's right. So even though she is confident, it's the game.
The way it comes off.
The way it comes off. So I've been trying to get her to, how there's a really good way of improving your kata performance is pull your chin in just a little bit.
And frown.
And just frown. Just,
just a little bit.
Just
close your eyes a little bit.
Just close your eyes a little bit. Some people even shave their eyebrows just a tad.
Yes.
Just a tad.
Yes. We used to call it kata face. Put your kata face on.
Yes. Walk in. Put a little bit of weight into it. Yeah. So how to improve your kata. And the other thing is important about how you do the fitness training to improve your kata. So what can you think of a few things for strength training?
Well, balance is obviously a big thing for kata. Exposed muscle, any kind of power movements. I know a lot of the top level athletes do mostly power lifting and that kind of thing where they're doing exercises that require you to use all your whole muscle, your whole body together. So we're talking things like power cleans or snatches or hang cleans, that kind of thing, which require your whole body to move a bar or whatever weight it is, whatever resistance, as fast as you can, and finishing with good technique. And there's lots of different exercises that you can use for that. And I think they translate really well to all karate performance, but especially kata, because that's what kata is exploding and finishing with good technique and finishing with your whole body as one. So definitely power techniques like that.
So basically anybody who trains in a karate club could be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another one that you could probably add in there is obviously balance training as well. And
how old can somebody start doing power lifting?
Well, powerlifting is you need to be a little bit careful because it can put a lot of stress on the structure, so you don't want to do it on somebody who's too young, but you can do it. There are different ways to modify it where you can use, instead of using resistance type of stuff in terms of like weights and that kind of things, you can use lighter things like weighted vests and that kind of thing, and get into any way you can add resistance that actually just doesn't directly load the spine or anything like that, or load any of their bones or their musculature, then you can use it like that.
So in Japan, when you see an athlete who's really strong, their basics and stuff, and their stances, and they're young, a lot of times because they've done a lot of squats.
Yes, squats are usually really good to do. For young people, more so just body squats or vest squats. You don't really want to be loading a bar on their back. But yeah, squats is good. And obviously with kata too, you need muscular endurance. So absolutely doing lots of squats is a good thing. Yeah.
Well, everything is 100.
Yeah, that's right. Just do 100 and
just
then
100.
do 100 more.
Exactly. Everything's 100.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But and then you think about it. So can someone who's 13 or 14 start doing lifting with a bar? Or?
Yes. Well, it depends. Again, it depends if they're male or female and their maturity and that kind of thing. But yeah, but 14-year-olds for males, or for females is usually good. Males take a little bit longer to mature physically. So yeah, you're getting close to 13 to 14, 15 basically. There's a science to it. Obviously, you want to look at their peak height velocity, and you want to make sure their bones are ossified before you really start loading their spine and loading their bones, because then you can have issues with their actual growth. But yeah, as long as you're not loading the spine too much, that's kind of the key.
What would be 2 or 3 weighted exercises for anybody, let's say 15, 16 years old and older, who even aren't competing, just want to make their karate stronger?
Whether it's kata, kumite, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. When we think about it, 95% of people don't compete. So, the class is finished. They've got an extra 10, 20 minutes.
Sure. And
they want to develop some strength in their body.
I would say squats for sure would be one. Body squats would be probably the first one up there as well. I'm big on using core strength as well. Karate athletes need their core for everything. So the best core exercise kind of known is the plank. So planking is always good as well. And I would also like to add on to the squats as well. I like to do jumping squats as well. I think it's a good one to do in there because it trains that powerful explosiveness as well. And something with the upper body would be useful too for muscular endurance. There's push-ups, which are easy enough to do. Other things that you can do is like overhead presses where you're just pushing things over your head, weighted exercise like that. So yeah, something along those lines gets your kind of whole body.
We do lots of jumping squats here.
Yes, which is good. Yeah.
We have 25 meters.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. No, that's great. So for those people who want to improve your kata, basically improve your karate, here you go. Here's what to think about. Think about what are the categories that people look at: conformity, technical, and athletic, and then think about how you can improve your body. And think about power.
There it
high
is.
Speed.
Power, high speed.
Power and high speed.
Powered. We don't want low speed.
That's right. That's going to move us into karate training tip of the week.
I pretty much just already gave you a bunch of karate
That's it.
tips.
That was incredible.
That was incredible. But I did have something specifically that I wanted to talk about this week. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson here, and
I'm up for it.
I'm going to relate it right back to karate, so don't worry. It might not seem like it that way. First of all, what do you know, or what are your thoughts on lactic acid?
All right, so the common stereotype would be the byproduct of when your muscles have been working hard.
Okay,
yeah.
that's a good definition. It's
yeah.
a little bit more complicated than
of
that.
Course,
but
of
yes,
course.
That's basically it. You get lactic acid build up in your muscles. What does that lactic acid do to your muscles? Do you know?
All right, now I have to try and remember this part.
Here we go.
Well, is it supposed to be expelled? Isn't that supposed to happen after? No.
That's the best way. Yes, you do want to get rid of it.
Yep.
So the ideal way, so lactic acid gets built up when you use your muscles anaerobically. So anytime you're kind of using your muscles, especially in karate, we're mostly anaerobic, you're going to build up lactic acid.
Yep.
Now, one of the best ways to get rid of that lactic acid, because it does affect your performance. Actually, a little side note, it's not actually the lactic acid that affects your performance, but that's a whole other story.
Yes.
So one of the things that you want to do is you want to try and clear out that lactic acid that does build up in those muscles. And one of the best ways to do that is through active recovery. So active recovery is just keeping the blood flowing through those muscles to make sure that the blood flow will actually pick up that lactic acid and take it away, take it to your liver, take it and convert it to other things, and it uses it. You don't want it to build up in your muscles. That's why they always say, the famous kind of analogy is when you watch a NHL hockey game and they interview them after the game, they're all spinning on a bike. They're all on their bikes. So it's like, well, why are they on their bike? Well, they're trying to get rid of all that lactic acid. Okay. And that's exactly what, that's why the cool down is kind of so important, is trying to get the blood flow through those muscles. So that's lactic acid, trying to get rid of that. Now, there is a specific point where lactic acid builds up faster than you're able to clear it out. Okay. And that's called the anaerobic threshold. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. So again, the anaerobic threshold is the point at which your body can no longer clear the lactic acid as quick as it's being produced. So now you have this lactic acid that's going to be building up in your muscles, and it's going to start affecting your performance. Well, one of the things that I like to do with karate, people training in karate, is there is a way to train where we can take that point and we can actually make that point even higher or even longer, so that lactic acid doesn't accumulate until later on in your performance or in your competition or whatever it is. And that's just basically called threshold training. And to do that, so relating it right back here, the best way to do threshold training is to do something that's called, it's an old kind of training tool called fartlek training, which basically just means you do kind of slow pace training at, usually about 60 to 70% of your VO2 max, and then you just kind of intersperse high intensity interval sprints. So you just sprint as hard as you can, 95 to 100% for 20 to 30 seconds, and then you go back to your slow pace, and maybe you do that 10, 15 times. And just by doing that type of interval training, it'll actually increase your anaerobic threshold, which again means you're not going to have as much lactic acid buildup, which means that your performance is going to be able to be more powerful, and you'll be able to sustain it for a longer period of time.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because in Japanese, when we got, like you do fartlek training, when you got a group running, so the person in the back will run up to the front. And then we call it oikosu. Oikosu? Oikosu, like, it's just a short term used for, like, you run to the front in front of everybody else. So oikoshite, and then they'll run to the front and do fartlek training. We do that a lot.
Right now, it's one of the best, as far as we know, it's one of the best ways to increase your anaerobic threshold. Yeah.
That's awesome. Fartlek.
Fartlek.
Fartlek?
Fartlek. Fartlek.
EK, that's it.
Yeah. There is other ways to train too, but just think about training at high intensity with rest periods in between.
So when you say 10, 15 times, what would you think? Like, is this people running around the dojo? Are they on a track?
It could be anything. It could be running around the dojo. You could be swimming. You could be biking. You could be doing absolutely anything. We're talking more about oxygen consumption now.
Okay.
So anything that gets your breathing rate up and gets your heart rate up. Could be push-ups. You could be doing just slow, easy push-ups and then bam, push out 10 to 15 as fast as you can. I mean, of course, you'd have to be able to do about 150 push-ups, but that's just an example.
Not a problem.
Yeah, not a problem. No problem for young studs like us. Yeah, so that's just the idea.
Okay, so you do 10 to 15, something quick, and then how long is the rest rate again?
And then, you would go back to your original pace.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'd be there for about 2, depending on how long it is and what you're doing, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, try and keep that going, and then again explode up. So you want to just have enough, we're looking at work to rest ratio is basically what it is. And you want your rest ratio or your recovery ratio to be a lot longer than your work ratio. And then of course there's all kinds of different ways that you can train that too. You also want to do other high intensity interval training that we can talk about at a different point. But yeah, just trying to think about your oxygen consumption.
No, this is great. It just reminded me how much we used to do this in Japan, oikoshi training, where you would get people running, get people sprinting.
Yeah. And
then to stop when basically everybody's just done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's done. And it's a good way to get the, how do we have to do this? You have to run on the outside. So like you're at the back.
And then you run out the outside.
You have to run on the outside of the group along the wall, because if you run on the inside, you can basically just run across the dojo and meet them as they come around.
Yeah.
So no, that's cool. Fartlek training.
Fartlek anaerobic threshold or threshold training is also
everybody can do that in the dojo for sure.
Oh, it's great. It's easy. Yeah. And it's especially important for elite athletes, because that's when we see, competing athletes, that's when we see mostly lactic acid build up, is because they're doing high intensity, output through a kumite match or through a kata performance, and they need to sustain that through 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, maybe 2-3 days in a row. So important to do threshold training, and also to make sure that you're doing active recovery.
Well, I bet everybody out there too, when they go for the black belt test, they don't just do the test. They may have like a day or two of seminars before that.
Yeah, usually there's a workshop or something that.
And you have to at some points you have to really perform well.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is great. Anaerobic threshold training. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
In Karate 360 applied to karate.
Yes, that's right.
That's great. Well, Kalan, it's that time of the podcast. We got to the end.
We made it to the end again. Here we go.
Man, I always learn so much on these things. This is fantastic. Thanks for bringing these ideas forward.
Absolutely, and same to you. And for you guys out there that are listening, if there's anything you want us to talk about, if you have any questions, again, keep shooting us your emails or your messages on all of our social media, and absolutely we'll discuss it.
That's right. I'm still working on a question from Rodney about how we can apply a metric score to kata.
Yes.
And how they do it in figure skating and stuff. So I've actually been reading about that one, and in next episode, the one after, I want to start bringing that up. And also we had someone shouted out to us about can we put the podcast on the Google podcast service?
Yes, and absolutely we will start putting that on the Google podcast for all you guys that are on Android or that are not Apple friendly. We'll get those available for you guys too.
Yes. And we've been thinking about doing a live show.
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Maybe during the night of the BC Open.
Yeah.
So we'll have you guys more details as we get closer to it. So don't forget all our media sources.
So www.karate360podcast.com, and then our Twitter and Facebook at Karate360. And guys, don't forget to
where we can reach Kalan at.
I am at kalananglos.com, or any social media, just Kalan Anglos. That's Kalan Anglos.
Get some long distance training with this guy.
Yeah. Right
on. And we've got you can register now for the British Columbia Karate Open Championships.
December 10th. Register now.
Yeah. You can go to the Karate BC website, karatebc.org, and then click on events, and then go to the BC Open. It'll take you to the sport data webpage. When you go there, make sure that you register your club first, or if you're as an individual, register as an individual, and then go and register in the event. By the way, if you register as an individual, put your name in like Smith-Kenzen. So then you can be identified as an individual, but we also know which club you're in.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's written on the brochure. So definitely go register for that. And just keep your calendar marked down, especially as you're buying those new calendars for the year. The Canada Open Karate Championships, June 3rd and 4th next year. All right, guys. This has been fantastic.
Thanks, guys. This is episode 7 of Karate 360. We're signing off, and we'll talk to you next week.
San Rokumaru.